Welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here today because we're about to peel back the curtain on something that is literally invisible to most of us. We're talking about the high-stakes, meticulously detailed world of luxury valet and butler service. We're going to explore the strict professional standards that define elite hospitality, pulled straight from the official industry playbook. If you've ever wondered how the absolute best hotels in the world make their guests feel like royalty, well, you are exactly in the right place. Let's get into it. Okay. Let's dive into this. What exactly turns a correct service into a truly memorable one? Think about it. Correct service is really just doing what you're told, right? Delivering the bags, making the bed, it's purely transactional. But memorable service? Now that is a total art form. To elevate service to that kind of magical level requires a rigorous set of professional standards that dictate consistent behaviors, an immaculate appearance, and rock-solid, absolute discretion. Section 1. The higher standard, trust in the private space. To really wrap our heads around these standards, we've got to recognize the super unique environment a valet operates in. Unlike the general staff, a valet or a butler works continuously inside a guest's most private space, their room, their suite, their sanctuary. And because of this profound, up-close access, the standard expected of a valet is frankly miles higher than it is for general housekeeping. Every single tiny detail of their conduct, their language, and their grooming directly communicates the overall quality and trustworthiness of the entire hotel. At the very foundation of this top-tier service is something called rapport, a relationship of deep trust and easy goodwill between the valet and the guest. And listen, this doesn't just happen by accident. A real pro actively builds this. They greet the guest warmly, they always use their name, and, this is key, they intuitively read the room. A masterful valet knows exactly when a guest wants to chat and exactly when they need the valet to just blend into the wallpaper and be totally unobtrusive. Now, it's super fascinating to compare grand gestures with small, reliable courtesies. We usually think of luxury service as, setting up a massive, over-the-top bouquet of roses or pouring a towering pyramid of expensive champagne. But the actual training materials tell a totally different story. It turns out that the small, highly reliable courtesies, like making sure a guest's shoes are perfectly polished every single morning without them ever having to ask, actually build significantly more genuine goodwill than those flashy grand gestures. Consistency, it turns out, is the ultimate luxury. Section 2. Anticipation, the hallmark of butler-level service. Let's move to and see how this builds. Because this next concept truly separates the amateurs from the absolute masters. If rapport is the foundation we just talked about, then anticipation is the actual architecture of elite butler-level service. It's the almost mind-bending ability to know what a guest needs before the guest even realizes they need it themselves. So how does this actually work? Well, it's not mind-reading, I promise. It's a very specific, seamless three-step methodology. Step 1. Observe the guest behavior and check their historical preference records. Step 2. Use that specific data to anticipate an upcoming need. And Step 3, offer the solution proactively. Oh, and the golden rule here? This absolutely has to stem from quiet observation and records, never ever from prying or intruding into the guest's personal business. Let's ground this with some specific real-world examples. Imagine a valet notices a business guest has laid out their suit and set an alarm for, say, 5 a.m. Anticipation means stepping up and offering to arrange an advanced breakfast tray to be ready before the kitchen even officially opens. Or take a returning guest. It means consulting those records we mentioned and making sure their specific preferred ergonomic pillow and their favorite morning newspaper are already waiting in the room before they've even set foot in the lobby to check in. It creates this completely magical, frictionless experience for the guest. It's like the room just knows them. Section 3. The visible standards, grooming, and speech. Of course, delivering this insanely high level of service requires the valets themselves to look and sound the part perfectly. Since a valet is working at such incredibly close quarters with the guest, they are literally handling their personal garments. Maintaining excellent personal hygiene and a flawless presentation isn't just a nice to have. No, it is a strict, non-negotiable professional requirement. Our source actually provides a rapid-fire list of grooming guidelines. Clean, well-pressed uniforms and polished shoes, obviously. But look at the specific details here. Neat, controlled hair, explicitly clean and trimmed nails, and a strict mandate for minimal, subtle fragrance. Why? Well, imagine trapping a guest in a tiny dressing room with an overpowering cloud of cologne. Yeah, that's a massive distraction. Even wearing no distracting jewelry and maintaining an upright, calm, composed posture are explicitly written directly into the job requirements. Every single inch of their physical presence is carefully curated. And these visible standards extend right into how the valet actually speaks. The communication standards demand courteous, highly discreet speech, kept at a moderate volume so they never disrupt that serene, peaceful environment. They also mandate active listening. That means the valet must let the guest completely finish speaking before confirming their wishes. No interrupting, ever. But my absolute favorite point here is the requirement for what they call positive language. This is just a brilliant psychological tactic. Instead of ever telling a guest what cannot be done, the valet is trained to instantly pivot and offer what can be done. It keeps the entire interaction focused purely on solutions. And honestly, this next point brilliantly illustrates the absolute pinnacle of communication. Take a second to really appreciate this elegant rule. Knowing when silence and unobtrusiveness are the better service. Sometimes, literally the absolute best thing a valet can say is nothing at all. Just stepping back, fading into the background, and allowing the guest to enjoy their space in total peace, that is a highly, highly cultivated skill. Section 4. The Invisible Standards, Records, and Privacy. So we've seen what the guest physically sees and hears. Now let's transition over to the invisible mechanics that make all this personalized service possible behind the scenes. We're stepping into the highly confidential world of guest records and data privacy. Top-tier establishments maintain basic contact lists and surprisingly deep customer preference profiles. This data is exactly what allows the valet to tailor the environment so perfectly. We're talking about knowing their favorite beverage, setting the exact room temperature they prefer hours before they arrive, or flawlessly executing a specific pressing schedule for their evening wear. But here's the catch. These records are utilized strictly in line with the guest's specific instructions and enterprise policy. They are highly, highly sensitive. So the crucial point is this. Mishandling guest data is a legal failure. It's not just a polite little faux pas. A guest's preferences are treated as strictly confidential personal data. It is never shared, it is never discussed with other guests, and it is absolutely never used for any purpose other than serving that specific individual. Violating this trust completely destroys that precious report we talked about earlier. Plus, under modern data privacy rules, doing so puts the entire establishment in massive legal jeopardy. Section 5. High Stakes, VIP Protocols. This intense focus on privacy brings us to the final and definitely the highest stakes tier of a valet's responsibilities, managing the affairs and the movements of VIP guests. Celebrities, politicians, high-profile business leaders. These are individuals whose very presence in a building is incredibly sensitive information. When a VIP is in residence, a top-tier valet goes into absolute lockdown mode. They follow the establishment's VIP protocols to the absolute letter. A professional valet will never, ever confirm a guest's presence. If a reporter, a caller, or even just a curious fellow guest casually asks, "Hey, is so-and-so staying here?" the valet's answer gives away absolutely zero information. They maintain a steel vault of confidentiality at all times. I really want to highlight this quote, pulled directly from the training source material, because I think it perfectly summarizes the ethical gravity of this entire profession. Discretion is not optional courtesy. It is the core of the role. Being polite? Sure, that's nice. But keeping a guest's life completely private and secure, that is the actual job. It is the very reason these professionals even exist in the first place. We've explored the rapport, the seamless anticipation, the meticulous grooming, and that absolutely unwavering discretion required to operate at the very highest levels of luxury hospitality. It truly is an invisible craft. The absolute best service is the kind you never even realized you needed until it was flawlessly provided right in front of you. It takes a truly remarkable mix of intuition, discipline, and deep empathy. So I'll leave you with this final thought. After looking at all these strict, entirely unseen standards, could you master the invisible art of the valet? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope you found this hidden world just as fascinating as I do.